I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Air Max line do this year. Last year was all about the Air Max 90 and 95s because they were celebrating their 30th and 25th year anniversaries respectively. But this year doesn't really have anything from the past to echo. 1991 wasn't a particularly big year for Air Maxes, and the 95s were followed by 97s and 98s, and 96 really wasn't that big a year either. So there's a kind of little vacuum in this 25-year, 30-year anniversary cycle that Nike seem to go with, and I think what they're going to do is they're going to fill it with some really interesting shoes from all over the Air Max line, and they'll just take some, take a year off instead of having that, clear 30 years, 25-year anniversary thing. What they'll do is they'll, jump around a little bit and dip into things like the Air Max 1s or the Air Max 90s or Air Max 97s and have a little year to play around a little bit. And that's what I see in this shoe. Is I see this particular shoe as being one of those, they're free from having to do Air Max 90s or Air Max 95s or whatever, and they've got a chance to sort of, do something unique. And that's what they've done with this Air Max 1, because it's a very cool shoe. And what I want to do is I want to get into you about two particular things in this shoe. One is there's a particular thing on this shoe that I was very surprised at how small it was. I was expecting much more Obsidian, and I only got a little bit of Obsidian, and that one detail, I'll get into that. But also I want to split the shoe into two halves. One is the very big Obsidian points on the shoe, but then also the very small kind of hits and hints to Obsidian. So that's where we're going to go today with this upcoming release of the Nike Air Max 1 Obsidian. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel des.毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And very recently we did this video right here, doing that's an Air Force One Pixel. And one of the things I talked about in that video was I hadn't seen that silhouette of Air Force One before, and I wasn't sure if it was brand new or if me being out here in Tokyo, Japan meant that I hadn't seen the shoe, even though it was, common release in North America or Europe and things like that. And then it's the same for these guys here. I haven't seen this LV8 level 8 variant of the Air Max 1s before, but it might be that I've just missed it because I'm here in the Far East, sort of on the very limit, the very edge of sneaker consciousness. So I might have missed it, or it might be a new thing that's coming around. And I've done a few Air Max 1s in recent memory, especially there's been some really nice packs. There was the Air Max 1s with Amsterdam and London. There's another pair, which I think it was something to do with August the 8th, I think it was. I can't remember. Was that? I don't think that was Air Max Day, but there was something about it. August the 8th, 20 was emblazoned on the back, on the heel of this two pack variant of Air Max 1s. Another Air Max 1s, there was the anniversary pack as well. But these guys, to me, they fit into that somewhere. I don't know if this LV8 has been a standard at the Air Max 1 line for 30 odd years, or if it's a new thing that's coming out this year. What I do know is that it's beautiful material. It's got a real clean feel of luxe, and it's a great looking Air Max 1. If this wants to be your first Air Max 1, I would definitely say this is a good shoe to start with. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do what I said at the top of the video, which is to break this thing in half and talk about where the major hits of Obsidian are and where the sort of minor hits of Obsidian are, and then that one place where I was expecting more and I got less. But before we do that, let's talk about Obsidian. Now Obsidian is a kind of blue. Now the first pair of Obsidian shoes I got was a Nike Air Max 95 Mount Fuji. It's a really nice shoe, which has got, it's either Mount Fuji or Obsidian, but the blue on there is kind of a grey blue and it's light. So whenever I see shoes that are called Obsidian, they come in this darker blue, I'm always a bit confused because my first experience of Obsidian was with those Air Max 95s. But I do remember doing an Air Force One Obsidian, and a guy actually told me that he really appreciated my video because I pointed out that the midsole was in Obsidian blue and not black, and he hadn't realised that. He thought it was an all black in there, and he was going to go ahead and buy these things was looking for a black midsole, but it turned out to be a blue midsole. And it's like, ooh, thanks for pointing that out to me. But in that video, that Air Force One had a very deep blue to the Obsidian, so I'm kind of confused as to whether Obsidian is a lighter blue or a darker blue. But in the case of today's shoe, it's definitely a darker blue. So we'll get into that right now and look at those bits that make up the major hits. So major hit number one, heel, Nike swoosh Air branding embroidered on the back of the heel in that in the Obsidian stitching across the back of the shoe. And then it's easy to come forward from that and look at the swooshes that you get on the medial and the lateral side of these guys again in that Obsidian blue. So this is the big kind of chunky Obsidian that I was talking about, and that doesn't come any bigger and any chunkier than the mudsole that runs around the shoe in sort of like a circumference that runs around the equator of the shoe and gives you that Obsidian hit on there. And then there's two more places, and one of them sort of, you got to look closely and remember to do that, and the other one is talking about that thing that I thought was bigger and was smaller. So we'll go first to the thing you've got to look into, and I'm talking about the air units, and hopefully this is coming up really clean on the green screen behind me here, and you can see looking into the air unit there, that Obsidian colorway reinforced within that little air window. Now it's not an Air Max 90, so you don't get that kind of surround of the window. It looks like an arrowhead in Air Max 90s. It's very much cleaner and more sleeker as the window appears in the midsole of this shoe, but it's within that the colouring comes, so it's not like that Air Max 90 surround. It's within the air unit. You've got the Obsidian, and then that one place I was expecting more was if we start by looking at probably the pair, and you see the Obsidian rolling up the toe roll on the front of these guys coming from the outsole. I was expecting a fully Obsidian outsole, so I was really surprised to see this. Doing. There's the outsole there, and you can see it's just that toe roll in the front that has the Obsidian, but then the rest of it is in the kind of blacks, and then I think it's probably more sail than white, but it's definitely not Obsidian. I was really surprised to see how little Obsidian there was on the outsole. I was expecting quite a lot more. So there's the big sort of in-your-face areas of Obsidian, but there are some smaller little hits of Obsidian, and we've got to look from above and have a look on the insole and on the top of the tongue there to see some hits of Obsidian there as well. And then there's a little tiny detail which I really dig, is the top eyelets on the lacing system, also in that beautiful blue. And I think that pretty much completes all the different places that are blue on the shoe, and it turns out to be quite a lot. I was expecting, at first glance, like swoosh, mudguard, we're done here, but then you have the heel branding, the toe branding, the insole branding, not the toe branding, the tongue branding, the insole branding, the top eyelet, the toe roll on the outsole, and then looking into the air unit. So there's a lot more blue on this shoe than I thought at first glance. But there's also grey and white as well, but what there isn't very much of is mesh. The blues, the whites and the greys are all on this beautiful luxe leather, and the only place I can see mesh appearing on the shoe is actually on the tongue, which is great. It means these guys are really high quality luxe premium materials coming together to make this shoe, and it's a very nice, very clean Air Max 1. It fits with the sort of standard narrative of Air Max 1s, as the silhouette has remained mostly unchanged since 1987. I want to say there's Air Max 1, Air Max 2, Air Max 3, then Air Max 90. So probably 1987 was the first year of the Air Max 1s. And the silhouette's really, unchanged. And I think that's a good thing. It's a really simple shoe, and the way they've elevated this one up is by taking those materials and putting them in a sort of luxe spin. And I think it works. It's a great looking shoe. And there was that one more detail actually. It's an embroidered swoosh on the toe in white, which stands in contrast to the Obsidian of the toe itself. So that's one more little detail that just makes these a great looking shoe. So Air Max 1 line, very healthy right now, going with very standard, very simple colorways, which really reflect the kind of heritage of the shoe. And like I said at the start of this video, it's going to be interesting to see where Air Max go this year, because they have no big shoes to celebrate in anniversary. So I think what they're going to do is a hodgepodge year where they dip into a bunch of different things, which is something to look forward to. And speaking of things to look forward to, it's time for me to sign off. But you get to look forward to seeing me again tomorrow, because I get to say at the end of every one of my videos, I always try to say thank you very much for checking out the content, but I also say that I remind you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.